Fikret Osevic! Why not, son? Goal, Midwest United!
That's not the goal of the week. I have no clue what is. What a beautiful little touch. Look at this. A little roll up, not even looking at the net, and get.
We also have seen the goalkeeping position have a huge positive impact on games as well. I mean, there's games that it's like, you know, Lanton City at Detroit Imperial last year, Emerson Mena is like, that was really the first game that we saw him play, and it was like, oh my goodness, like he is the goalkeeping is the difference in this game.
Jack Fisher right there put an incredible display of what it should look like when you move from offense to defense.
Kleppel finds space, and it's there for him on the inside once again. Jeremy Kleppel.
Yeah.
Jinga locked into defense here. Ball inside. Espinal is able to take it. Finds Ahmed, and Ahmed puts it away.
And it was Sandro Blanco in the middle right there in the penalty area. Talk about the hold-up play. We saw some of from Alec Nas earlier, but that was such a beautiful example of what it looks like to handle a hot pass, maintain your composure on the ball, and then distribute accordingly.
Coupled with a strike, and Nas with the finish. How did he know?
How did he know? That was a fortuitous bounce for Alec Nas.
He just got his body in the way after that.
Yep. He was able to find the right spot. I mean, it's really a lucky opportunity. It's a fortuitous bounce.
But he's there.
He is there. He's in the right spot. You know, we say the first shot is on the goalie, the second.
Fisher up to Blanco. Blanco able to turn, finds Kleppel on the inside. Wow! Slicing and dicing. What a ball from Blanco to set up Kleppel to get their 7th goal. You can see them celebrating there.
And you know, we're so used to seeing Kleppel have rockets blasted from deep. What a great display of technical.
Interrupted by Straz, but Saltzman, now he gives it away to Bugase. Castaneda comes out, but it's not enough. Enrico Del Rosario finds the back of the net for Jinga, and they get number 2.
Yeah, strong effort from Del Rosario right there. Castaneda was in a really
first one called up the match. Quick giveaway. Alex Mendez now leaves it for Chris. Back to Alex. The touch. It's in. We have trouble for Chicago House. 2 goals early for Shoreline City.
Yeah, if the first goal was not the way you want to start, you definitely don't want to do this. Cannot let the Mendez triumvirate get going. What a cheeky goal right there from Alex Mendez.
And if you missed the first half, 3 of the 5 goals for Shoreline City as they are on attacking chance here. Chris Mendez puts it away with the cheeky chip for goal number 6.
Well, you know Chris Mendez loves his chippy chips. Fantastic chip right there from Chris Mendez. Alex Mendez with the assist.
This is one of the things that I wanted to bring up was the idea, we've talked about this before, but the idea of like splitting hairs with goalkeepers. In some cases, it really feels like a decision just needs to be made that like this goalkeeper is definitely deserves the spot and is best for the team to play, rather than let's split halves and we see 2 different results.
Yeah, I mean, that's the part that's just, it's so frustrating watching Midwest United this weekend, where in every regard they were dominating the game, and then they take Vicario out and put Marco Narvaez in, and then they end up giving the game away and end up just drawing. 5 minutes to go. Vivero to the spot.
And he sends it to the roof. The lead is 4.
And look, as
long one again coming to the back. Gets placed across the front of the goal, and Mena is there. How about the other way? Detroit Imperial strike first.
Wow, and just the attack is relentless for Detroit Imperial. What a fantastic save from Emerson Mena. And one of the things we talk about that he does so well is he maintains possession on shots, and he did right there, able to distribute to Yaya Meska to put it away with the quick transition play.
Yaya Meska gets on the stat sheet in a meaning.
Oh, wow. What a shot from Diego Pinto. You know, top shelf, outstanding placement. It takes a lot to beat Emerson Mena, and he does. He beats him near post at that. Fantastic shot.
Wow. How did he get that in?
How did he get that in? I think Emerson Mena's thinking.
Like, if I'm a fan of Midwest and I watch that game, and we have what I would be, in my opinion, one of the best keepers in the league. And he's not playing the second half.
And DeMarco, what we saw, gave up 6 goals. You know, Lucario was in there for 20 minutes. First half, didn't give up any. And so, that's a huge disparity.
Dio having to come out to make a play. Play's not over now. Action's still going. What did we just see? Yes! Fikret Osevic! Why not, son? Goal, Midwest United!
That's not the goal of the week. I have no clue what is. What a beautiful little touch. Look at this. A little roll up. Not even looking at the net.
We also have seen the goalkeeping position have a huge positive impact on games as well. I mean, there's games that it's like, Lansing City at Detroit Imperial last year, Emerson Mena is like, that was really the first game that we saw him play, and it was like, oh my goodness, he is the goalkeeping is the difference in this game.
Jack Fisher right there put an incredible display of what it should look like when you move from offense to defense.
Kleppel finds space, and it's there for him on the inside once again. Jeremy Kleppel. Jinga locked into defense here. Ball inside. Espinal's able to take it. Finds Ahmed, and Ahmed puts it away.
It was Sandro Blanco in the middle right there in the penalty area. Talk about the hold-up play. We saw some of it from Alec Nas earlier, but that was such a beautiful example of what it looks like to handle a hot pass, maintain your composure on the ball, and then distribute accordingly.
Coupled with a strike, and Nas with the finish. How did he know?
How did he know? That was a fortuitous bounce for Alec Nas.
He just got his body in the way after that.
Yep. He was able to find the right spot. I mean, it's really a lucky opportunity. It's a fortuitous bounce.
But he's there.
He is there. He's in the right spot. We say the first shot is on the goalie.
Fisher up to Blanco. Blanco able to turn, finds Kleppel on the inside. Wow! Slicing and dicing. What a ball from Blanco to set up Kleppel to get their 7th goal. You can see them celebrating there.
And we're so used to seeing Kleppel have rockets. red cards in that game.
3 red cards. You could see it on their faces, like they would hit the post again, and they'd be like, "What is happening?"
And they only gave up 4 goals?
But it wasn't competitive.
In 40 minutes?
It wasn't competitive.
4 goals!
A sign that a fan has made, a fan of Calvin Futsal made it. Chicago House is grabbing the sign, holding it up, and they're passing it around.
The ball sticks to his feet. Like, I don't think that you should have seen him at practice last night. He was just toying with this. I ain't gonna lie.
What level of crazy do you need to be a goalkeeper in futsal?
11. 11. No one woke up one day and said, I want to be a keeper today. I didn't want to be a goalie.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Third Half podcast. Jared Kleppel, Gerard Ascani on this lovely Thursday night. It always seems to be a Thursday.
Thursday.
What?
Always Thursday.
I don't understand why.
We got action tomorrow night, so
it's the Thursday Half podcast, episode 20, I believe. And we had our first full weekend of 4 games. We have another weekend of 4 games coming up. Mm-hmm. Lots to talk about. We had some performances that...
I mean, really it's like 50-50 for me. Half the games kind of went how I expected them to go, and half I was just really floored.
So we're going to be talking about all the games that happened this past weekend. Mm-hmm. We're going to be previewing the games that are coming up. And it's going to be a great time. If you're in the chat, say what's up, say hello, and say your opinion all night long. We want to see it in there. We're going to share ours. We're going to be real to the best that we can. And with some of the things that did not go so well for some of the teams this past weekend, might have some hard stuff to say.
I know. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. If you saw 2 of the matches, you'll know what we're talking about.
Yes. Let's just jump right in with the first one. We have a recap video. This is going to be Innovation hosting Detroit. Let's roll it. Innovation in Detroit. Starting off, Emerson Mena, how good was he in this game? 2 saves, and then the first goal comes from his distribution all the way to Yaya Meska, who's able to meg Brennan Foster and get goal number 1 for Detroit. Take a look at that one more time. The distribution right to his toe, and Meska does well. This one, breakdown from Detroit in defense. They kind of forgot about Diego Pinto, and he puts it away. More on his finishing ability later as he puts this one into the corner. And this time it's the left foot of number 9, Murillo. I think it's Eduardo Murillo who puts it in there, left foot strike to the near post as we see it again. Screaming that one by Brendan Foster. Talk about Diego Pinto. How about this strike? It takes a lot to get by Emerson Mena like that. I believe that may not even be his final highlight in this clip. He was finding the net in this game almost all the times that Innovation found the back of the net because it wasn't a lot, but he had a good shot on him. This is really when Detroit Imperial pulled away on the counter. The half volley, Abdullah Saleh. You can see that takes him to a 3-goal advantage. He was 2 goals most of the way, and this one at the very end just showing the effort from Emerson Mena. This is the effort we saw from him, and he was a huge difference maker in this game the whole day, and Detroit Imperial win that one 10-4. Gerard, what were your reactions from Innovation in Detroit?
I mean, the first thing, I had to start with Emerson Mena. He had a tremendous impact last season. This was our first time seeing him in action this season, and he's really raising the bar even higher. I mean, he walked away with 33 saves, and a lot of them were really strong. And one of the biggest things, and we talk about this with Emerson Mena, it's not just the saves, but it's his ability to maintain possession on the save, and that's how he ended up getting the distribution for the assist. You get possession of the ball, and it allows you to create some offensive momentum off of the save, which is what he does really well.
Yeah, Emerson Mena has been a huge piece for them. But we also had some new faces for Detroit Imperial. I would say the 2 pointed out would be Yaya Meska and Murillo.
Yeah, so Pierce Brannigan had told us about Yaya Meska ahead of time, saying he's really excited about him, and so we didn't know exactly what to expect, but we anticipated him being something special, and he didn't let down at all. Pierce really nailed it with Yaya Meska. He's a player to watch this season.
And then for Murillo, we saw him on that left foot strike at the near post. These are two players that seem like they have some talent and they have some futsal ability as well.
That was one of the biggest challenges for Imperial last season was the depth. So they had some top end talent, but the depth really wasn't there. And so adding Meska and Murillo is really going to push them to the next level. And then coming up this weekend, they got Omar Labiki, who's going to be there. So that's another part when we talk about the talent that Imperial has. They showed up in a really good way that we didn't see from them last season on the road. Because, again, they were winless on the road last season outside of playing against Midwest.
And in the chat, Luke Miller, distribution is a highly overlooked quality in a futsal goalkeeper. This is true. It can be easy to miss. Sometimes it's just kind of you're on a 4 count and you got to get rid of it. And that's smart play as well, just like quarterback rolling out of the pocket, get rid of it rather than take the sack. But that it took me watching that clip till tonight to see that it was literally on his foot.
Yeah,
like I knew
right
it
there.
was great. I seen it. I clipped it. I put it in. But like tonight when I'm watching, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was on an actual dime. Like it was on his toenail. You know what I mean?
So I feel like the appropriate comparison for a goalkeeper is quarterback in football, right? Because of that, because they're so much of the responsibility. They can see everything. But we talked about it with the difference between Jose Vicario and Marco Narvaez, and just like changing from one goalie to the next. With Detroit Imperial, when they roll out, Emerson Main is the keeper no matter what, right? He's the keeper. And Michael Forbes is hurt right now, so who knows when they add Forbes to the lineup. But last season, when both of them played together, a lot of the times what they try to do is get Forbes onto the court to get him as an outfield player because Emerson Main is so strong in goal.
And honestly, it didn't really work out too well. I mean, it didn't. It wasn't very good.
We'll see what happens when Forbes comes back because I feel like that's one of the biggest challenges for a lot of these teams is who is going to be in net for them. And, depending on who it is, it could be the difference between winning or losing.
Yeah, so always love to see Emerson Mena. David Saltzman in the chat, bad and good distribution can change a game, good and bad. Absolutely, I think goalkeepers have, it is overlooked and it can make a big difference. I mean, in that one, it was the opening scoreline, and this was a game that was a 2-goal margin for most of the way. So let's speak about that from the innovation side. They lost by 6, but it was, for the majority of the match, it was a 2, sometimes 3-goal match, kind of within reach. Emerson Mena played very, very well. Innovation actually had, some chances and some good moments, and it seemed like they just lost steam at the end, and really they gave up several goals in the last 5 minutes or so. So it really was a closer game than 6. It
was. I mean, they played a lot better, I think, than they played against Jenga, especially bringing in Luan Tufani. They had basically 50% roster change from the game against Jenga in Cincinnati to the home match, and that's similar to some of the things that we saw last season from teams not traveling as well as they played at home. So I feel like they played better, but they still, by the time the game was over, it was a blowout. And one of the things that I think you'll see a lot of times with some of these teams that are still learning the intricacies of futsal is that they can be competitive over periods of the game, but when you look at the final score and you reflect back on it, it's like, okay, one team was clearly better. And one of the things that was really interesting watching this game is it felt very much like a pickup basketball game where you just had a bunch of people come out because it was just fast break after fast break after fast break.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of organization and structure. And I think what you'll see from a team like Innovation City is over the course of the season, you'll see more structure over time because they have some pieces that are talented like Luan Tufani, Diego Pinto, really, really solid. Brennan Foster, he's had some moments in goal where he's looked pretty good, some not so much. And so if they can build on that over the course of the season, they can be competitive.
And how about Pinto's ability to finish the ball?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. That was another thing that, looking back on the game, you were like, oh, my gosh. He just screamed one by Mena, near post.
Yeah.
Right? And then later on, and he
had a hat trick. So
he walked
away with 3 goals, and right away early in the season, Pinto is showing that he's somebody to keep an eye on. Somebody that's really comfortable with the ball at his feet. And one of the takeaways that I had from the game in Jenga was that there was too much resting on his shoulders, and that he was trying to create and playing futsal in a way that the rest of the team just wasn't at that level. And adding Luan Tufani to that team really helped. They played off of each other really well.
And I think one of the big questions for innovation is, you could tell near the end of the game they just couldn't last. I think that was one of the reasons why it got so lopsided near the end. Is Luan Tufani, he can't give 100% both ways for the amount of time that he did. So how are they going to either improve fitness, or are they going to be able to get some players behind them to be able to give them a rest? Because that's kind of what you saw happen near the end of the game. Is Tufani and Pinto are, it's like, well, what else? Like, there's not a lot more you can ask of those players. So I think that's going to be a question for them going forward. We'll talk more about innovation in their upcoming match. They're going to be hosting Shoreline, so at home again. That's later on. They're trying to avoid starting out the year at 0-3. Let's go to the next match. This one was probably the biggest shock of the weekend. First time we see Chicago House, and unfortunately, it did not go well for them. Let's take a look at the tape. Chicago House facing Midwest United. Early on, Vinny Da Silva kind of taking on two players, really for no reason, loses it. Figured Hasevich opens up the scoreline in the first 2 minutes of the game, and this is kind of how it went. Again, giveaway in the back. This is the second goal. This is literally 30 seconds after the first one. They get another one. It's 3-0 later on in the match, and Midwest are able to just slice and dice, and some poor getting back on defense for Chicago as well. This is another example. Fikret takes it on the break, finds someone at the back post, and he's wide open. Could have been preventable. Here's another one. Look at this one. This is one where I believe it's Escareno in goal, actually gets a save. But even with that, there are still players coming back for Chicago House, and they're not able to prevent that easy goal. Just another one there where all alone inside the arc. I mean, you cannot give Midwest that. But how about this one? Possibly the goal of the week. Hasevich off the corner, a little flick over his head to the back post. No one's there, and he's having a good time about it. Midwest end up winning that one 11-2. Originally, I thought it was 12-2. Looking back on it, I think maybe it was actually only 11. So there were so many goals. The scorekeeper lost track or something. So what does it say?
It was 12-2.
It was 12?
So, yeah, just during that game, right there, we just had some stats issues updating the graphics. So, yeah, it ended up 12-2. And goal of the week, I mean, how about goal of the season? Like, early candidate.
That was really cool. I mean, the thing, there's something to say, though, about how, like, the ball kind of went slow. Yeah. And there was no defender there. So, like, it was awesome, but it also showed a small picture of, like, how that game went for Chicago defensively.
Yeah, and it's one of those tough things. I know a lot of times we end up talking about what other teams didn't do well and in relation to what teams did well. So, like, it's hard to not give credit to Midwest United for just completely dominating this game. But Chicago House just did not. They didn't bring any energy defensively. Like, they just didn't bring any effort. And it's one of those things that, with this being their first time playing in the FCS and their first regular season match, it was really disappointing just from the effort standpoint. You look at some of those highlights where players aren't getting back, even on the second or third attempt for Midwest.
That was the big one.
If in transition you lose the ball and you're hustling to get back, but you're late, okay, it's almost like understandable because you're just late because of how fast Midwest responded.
Yeah.
But you got Castillo making a save or Escareno making a save, and then there's still nobody there, and it's still a 3-on-1. And then somebody's just hanging out, camped out at the back post, and no one's even close. And it's like, why are you even playing at that point?
Yeah.
Like why? And that's the part for me that's probably the most frustrating watching coming in. I was really excited to see Chicago House play. And for me, the appeal of futsal is always the effort and energy that people give. And to see that low of a level of effort was disappointing.
Now, I think the thing that you could say is encouraging or is discouraging based on basically what happens next is those things were not the majority of their problems, and particularly getting back on defense and the effort defensively, structure even defensively, because they're structured defensively, even when they were behind the ball. Didn't look good. It didn't look futsal ready. I mean, that was one of the things we talked about. It didn't look like they were ready for this game.
Yeah.
But let me finish the thought. I kind of went off. But the thought of that could be encouraging or discouraging is that it didn't really have to do with talent. Like, they have talented players.
Yes.
We saw bits and pieces of it. Now, sometimes it was talent in an area that was not dangerous. I mean, we saw Vinny De Silva, like, early in the game, basically take on two players for no reason. So it doesn't have to do with talent, and that can be encouraging because you can say, well, like, this is fixable, right? We can, if we get the right pieces in place, we have the structure, and we basically say, this is like, we need to have, you know, a culture of getting back on defense and hustling, and we need that. But the thing that can be discouraging about it is that it's not a talent issue, right? It's like an effort issue, which is like can be really telling of a player and their character, and you know, it's kind of one of those intangibles that, like, even if it's a player that's really good, if they're not willing to put that effort in, you know, at a high level, their talent isn't worth anything.
You know, one of the things that makes me think about, so Chicago House did not get practice time as a team coming into this match. So they were working out some issues with the facility. They actually have a dedicated futsal facility now to practice in. So we should see a big change over the next 2 weeks, next time we see them in action. But one of the things I'm curious about, what you think, is just listening to the game, listening to the commentators talk about how some of these players are coming from soccer, from outdoor, and this is the first time they're any futsal action at all. Do you think that that transition is contributing to that speed, that lack of speed switching? Right, because in outdoor soccer you have 11 players, and if you're one of the offensive players, which probably a lot of these kids are, they're so talented, they're probably one of the attackers, and when you lose the ball in transition, a lot of times you're not expected to go back really fast. Do you think that could have played a part in it?
It's possible. I mean, I still think that you, like, it at the very least, it's a mental switch, so you have to be able to be like, okay, even if you go as far to say, this could be something with transitioning game. Like, you have to know that you are in a different scenario. But even at that, it's like, if in the outdoor game, if you lose the ball, like, if you're the one that lost the ball, you should be the first one.
Yeah.
Like, you should be the one that is the most, giving the most effort to get the ball back. You know what I mean? And that was something we actually saw from David Saltzman in the Lansing City game. I remember there's one clip where he lost the ball, and it's like, whenever it's like you want
everything possible to get back.
It's like it's a rage monster.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to get that ball back. And it's like, this is,
It's just how you're, like, making up for the mistake. Like, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to lose the ball. Like, it's okay to take a risk. But if the risk doesn't pay off, what are you doing to make it right? Like, what are you doing to compensate? Yeah, and that was the part. So on that play right there where Vinny De Silva took on two players, Rafael Hernandez was open on the side of the court.
Yeah.
And so that's the other part, too, of, like, playing together. How does Escarino and maybe Hernandez move themselves to alert De Silva to, like, the trouble that's there? Or, in the case that he loses the ball, have more people there to protect, right? And I think that's the part when you go to, like, the fixable aspect is, like, when players are taking risk, how are the other teammates understanding the role that they play in it, right? Because if one player is going to take a risk and do something, and it might not be the smartest decision, other players have to be aware of what is their role in this play.
Yeah. A little bit in the chat about the possibility of Chicago House playing a 2-2 on defense. It did seem like they did. We're hearing from Rudy, one of the commentators for that game. By the way, Rudy did amazing. Well done. That was awesome. First time he's commentated with FCS. You did amazing with Chris. He said that the coach said that was their plan. It did not look effective. I mean, maybe that was one of the reasons why there was some players open. But man, it was a rough outing. The score reflected that, and they did get another chance the next day. We'll talk about that game against Shoreline. That wasn't 12-2. Looked a little bit better than that at least, but.
How about this, out of Midwest United? So we talked about how good Fikret Hasovic is. Once again, he delivers a hat trick not once again, but he delivered a hat trick. Last week he had 2 goals, so he's at 5 already on the season. Alan Lemus, really strong game from him. 2 goals, 3 assists.
There's a lot to go around, too.
There was a lot to go around.
We're talking about stats right now.
I know.
They had a lot of easy ones.
They did. But really, I think that's just Midwest United didn't travel great last season, right? They had roster availability concerns. What does that mean? You can't control what the other team does, but you can control what you did. What does it mean for them to show up on the road, second week in a row? First week we can kind of say it's not really a road game.
Not too bad,
Yeah, going to Chicago with a really strong roster and doing what they were supposed to do.
Yeah, I was going to say, talking about Midwest, obviously they took advantage. They never let Chicago House in the game. Sometimes when you're in a situation where you're playing a team that's either not performing well or less talented, there can be, some teams can kind of let them get in the game, kind of let them, and Midwest obviously had none of that. I mean, they were up 2-0 in the first 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. They were up, I think it was 7 by the time the half was over. And then, second half they piled on more. Of course, that amazing one from Feekrit, just flicking it over. I saw in the chat earlier, Luke said that last year, one of the best goals of the year, Luciano, he had that chip, that turnaround. First time, that was also early in the year. So still lots of time for goals of the year. I think we'll see better ones. This one was pretty cheeky.
Was that goal from Luciano against Midwest?
It was
as well.
So it was against Midwest. Yeah.
Which it kind of begs the question of like the caliber of competition that the goal of the season's happening in.
Well, if it's an amazing goal, I don't think it matters who they play. So. Any other thoughts on the Midwest side? I mean, they had Coach Hector Fernandez this time. It did seem like that made a difference. They did play Marco Navarez pretty much almost the whole game. Jose Vaccaro came in late. Any other thoughts on how they looked?
I think coming into this game, they were really frustrated about what happened against Shoreline. And the fact that they had Hector there, this was his first time coaching in the FCS. And so even though he is really the reason the Migos went to Midwest to begin with, this is his first time coaching in the FCS. And I think he was really excited for it and amped up. And you could see like they did everything they needed to do. And I think this is the steps that they need to take as a team to be able to get back to that place where they're in the final at the end of the season like they have been the last 2 years.
So that wraps it up for that game. I will say the one good thing that Chicago House had going for them is they had really cool jerseys. But cool jerseys don't win you games, unfortunately. So we're going to take a quick ad break, and on the other side, we're going to recap the other 2 games of the weekend, Lansing City versus Jinga, and the other Chicago House game against Shoreline. So that is coming up just on the other side of the break. Whoops. That was not something that really most people want to see again. We're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Again, coming to the back, gets placed across the front of the goal, and Mena is there. How about the other way? Detroit Imperial strike first.
Wow, and just the attack is relentless for Detroit Imperial. What a fantastic save from Emerson Mena. And one of the things we talk about that he does so well is he maintains possession on shots, and he did right there, able to distribute to Yaya Meska to put it away with the quick transition play.
Yaya Meska gets on the stat sheet in a meaningful way.
Committing a crime so you can try to escape from prison. Bad idea. Go into the pod escape room to play an escape game with your friends. Great idea. Test your skill as an astronaut in outer space. Find Santa in Save Christmas. Or take a vacation to an abandoned island. Just don't get stuck there. The Pod Escape Room. Learn more at thepodlansing.com.
Steele having to come out to make a play. Play's not over now. Action's still going. What did we just see? Yes! Fikret Hasevic! Why not, son? Goal, Midwest United!
If that's not the goal of the week, I have no clue what is. What a beautiful little touch. Look at this. A little roll up, not even looking at the net, and giving
Like, if I'm a fan of Midwest and I watch that game, and we have what I would be, in my opinion, one of the best keepers in the league, and he's not playing the second half.
And to Marco, what we saw, he gave up 6 goals. Lucario was in there for 20 minutes. First half, didn't give up any. And so, that's a huge disparity.
You're watching the Futsal Champions Series on FCS Live.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Third Half Podcast. Jared Kluppel, Gerard Ascani on this episode 20 on a nice Thursday night, as I said at the beginning. That just seems to be my transition phrase. On a nice Thursday night. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have some more games to get to. We started off with the first couple of games this weekend. It was... this was one that we most recently did, Chicago House and Midwest. Earlier than that, we did Innovation and Detroit. We have some games to go over coming up this weekend, including Olay in the chat. I see y'all. Olay opening up their FCS 2026 campaign this Saturday. Not just the men, but the women as well. More on that, but how excited are you to see Olay back in action?
Oh, really excited. They are a team that is just always fun to watch. And so now the fact that we get to see not only the men play, but the women as well, there's some incredible talent on the women's team. So I'm really excited to see how they line up.
That will be coming up later on in the show when we preview the games that are to come. First, let's finish up the games that just happened this past weekend. We went through the first two. It's time for number 3. This is Lansing and Jenga. Let's roll the clip in the Lansing City Arena. Lansing opening up play. Look at the 3 players going down right there. I thought that was funny. Kleppel coming inside, getting that left foot strike. This time not 3, but 4 Jenga players in the ground. The same thing happens. That is 2 different instances, basically the same goal. Kleppel to the back post that time. Lansing City up 2. Alessandro Blanco holds it up in the middle. Ali Ahmed to the back post. Some great play from Blanco in this game. We've seen him great improvement over last year, and Ahmed, one of the players that is new to the Lansing City squad. He finishes this one. He did play with the academy for Lansing City in the past, and he is now on the men's side. And this one, oh man, this was a bounce for Alec Noss, another newcomer for Lansing City, just getting in the way to put that one away and put Lansing City up by 4. Early in the second half, Jinga say, hey, I'm Mr. Takabatake. I want to get on the board. I want to put my team in a position to get into this game, but Lansing City wasn't going to have any of this one. Thought it was Blanco on a replay. It was the defender that kicked it to Jack Fisher. You see right there, but he gets by. Jason Quimson puts it away, and Lansing City gets another one. And then a nice little ball to the middle, handled well by Kleppel, and the assist from Alessandro Blanco. And this is the part that's my favorite. Look at them right there. They've been working together so hard since the last season, and what a play there from them. And then it's the two big men up top, Jonah Timblow and Alec Noss, putting Lansing City up by 7. The fans love this one. We take another look. Little touch from Alec Noss in the top. He might be dangerous this year. Another really nice goal. This one was too little too late for Del Rosario, but a crazy angle to get that one on the other side of Ethan Castaneda, who did play very well in this game as well. As we take another look at that Del Rosario attack. Lansing City win this one by a score of 8-2, and they open up the year with a W, almost in the same fashion as I wouldn't say same fashion, but almost the same result as last year. 8-2. Last year it was 9-2 against Jinga at home. So is the story different for Lansing City?
I think the story is different this time because one of the things that you can see there, we talked about a lot of other names besides Jeremy Kleppel, Jack Fisher, and Drew Barney. Those are the players that we talked about a lot last season, and the fact that you have all of these other players that are stepping up, having an impact, that's what they really needed to where the team's not dependent on one or two players every game. And if they can have solid 2-3 lines, they will be a lot more competitive this season than last.
And, of course, no Luciano Cernuda this year with an international opportunity for him. He was really a playmaker last year. I mean, he would create things out of nothing. And so that was one of the questions I think you asked. Maybe the chat asked it in the leading up to this game is what will happen with the absence of Luciano Cernuda? How will, the rest of the team, step up? And we saw not only new players, Ali Ahmed, Benny Alashari, who both were in the Lansing City Academy, Alec Noss. But we also saw Alessandro Blanco. He looked like a new player.
Yeah, he's somebody I'm really excited about because we saw him last season. I think the first time we ever saw him was against Detroit Imperial at Football Sala. And right away you could tell he had the technical skill, but he just, because of how complex Lansing City plays offensively and defensively, he was just he didn't have a place in the team. And so even though he's really skilled, he just really couldn't fit in. And so over the summer and, continuing now, you can see how he's integrating into the team, and so much so that now he's the starting pivot for him. And so you can see really the impact that he's having. And to see his technical skills shine, like one of those moments right there, Jack Fisher gets him the ball inside, and it was just a hot pass with a lot of traffic, and his control and then his composure. So not only did he control the ball, but his composure to just dance around and then to find Ahmed for the shot was great.
Yeah, and one player that I didn't mention that was another new one. He wasn't in any of the highlight clips, but Beto Espinal also looked, solid as far as, a player that can keep the ball, that can work in the Lansing City offense and possess. And one thing they didn't do in this game was give away easy goals, make bad mistakes in the back. Ethan Castaneda played awesome. I mean, he played awesome, didn't give up any bad goals. That one goal to start off the second half, maybe preventable. It deflected off. Maybe there should have been someone there, but he made the initial save. It was only once. But that was one thing that we saw a lot last year that has been a continual question is, when will the maturity kick in for the Lansing City young players? When are we going to see them not making bad mistakes? When is the goalkeeping position going to be not giving up goals and putting them in 2-3 goal holes? And we didn't see it in this game.
No, we didn't. And one of the things, even as we were watching back that clip, so the result was the same for Jenga as it was last season when they came here. But one of the things that I really hope Chicago House can go and watch this game to see when a team is out-talented, for them not to give up. for them to try really hard, because that's what you see out of Jenga every time they show up. You always see an incredible level of effort, even when they're outmatched, whether it's tactics that they're outmatched with or just skill. They still bring the effort and the intensity. And so even though this was a very comfortable win from Lansing, it was competitive throughout. With the game itself was not as lopsided as what we saw in Chicago earlier that day.
You talk about the effort from Jenga. That's the reason why you see all those players on the floor for a shot. They always talk about trying to get in the way, get on the floor so the keeper can see the ball. We've heard that from Coach Satoru Matsushima. And just to comment about Jenga, another reason why the story is different this year for Lansing City is Jenga's team looked a lot better on the road than it did last year.
They did. Yeah, they looked a lot better. And that's the part for me that I start to wonder about is some of these tactical decisions, because they have the effort. They're getting more talented players like Ewal Bagassi. He looked like a really strong player, and he's new to futsal as well. Shota Takabarake, he continues to have an impact every time he comes out.
Keeper play was good.
Yeah, keeper
Jason
play was
Quimzon, a new name for this year, but it seems like the not traveling, Corey Wiseman probably not going to go on the road, maybe in the playoffs, but he did well, I think.
Yeah, he did. And so what I start to think about is from the tactical standpoint of when do you start to become a little bit more advanced in your tactics instead of having everybody diving on the ground for the ball. Like if they don't make that shot, if Kleppel doesn't put that in the back of the net, what happens then?
Yeah.
Like all of Jenga's on the floor.
Yeah.
So like talk about the second or third efforts, like we talked about with House not coming back, all their players are on the floor. So it's almost like you're giving up, right? Like it seems like you're putting your body on the line to block the shot, but it's almost like you're laying down and just giving up the attempt, right? Instead of like continuing to try and play through it. And so I would like to see some advancement in the tactics from Jenga as they continue to evolve and grow as a team.
Another thing that I think is different from last year's match in the Lansing City Arena was this time around they were down by, I can't remember the exact number, but they were down by a considerable amount with about 10 minutes to go in the half. Mm-hmm. And for the rest, of the game, 10 or 11 minutes, they did a fifth attacker with Aaron Rahman was the fifth attacker goalie. They didn't get a lot of opportunities out of it. Their only other goal after that came on a counterattack. So they didn't really utilize it very well, but it did make for that last 11 minutes or so of the game was largely them passing around, trying to find, an opening in Lansing City's defending in the diamond, and they don't really end up punishing Jenga for it either. But that was also a big difference where there's basically 10 minutes of play where, it's just kind of the fifth attacker's going.
And it was encouraging to see. So, like, it steps in the right direction for Jenga. They're still not there, obviously, right, with this score, and this isn't how they want to show up on the road. But at least they're taking those steps, and they're trying new things, and it's just about really refining them. Because when you have that fifth attacker to not really have any impact on the game, for you really to just like control possession, it's really a waste because they had 10 minutes to really take a lot more. I mean, they ended up with nearly 20 less shots than Lansing City. And again, they had a fifth attacker for the last 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah, and for Jenga, they are going to be back in action this weekend. They moved to 1-1 after this game. So they're going back home, trying to defend home turf like they've done extremely successfully going back to last year. More on their upcoming game in a bit. Let's move on to the next one. This one is Chicago, their second chance, you could say. The very next day, they come back and they play Shoreline at home. And this is what happened. Chicago House at home welcoming Shoreline 60 seconds into the match. And we have a goal from, I believe that's Jonathan Fuentes. And then 15 seconds later, 20 seconds later, Alex Mendez on the break with Chris Mendez puts it in behind the back. A little back heel there to go up by 2. And it stays at 2 for the majority of the first half as we see that again. So the scoreline was close, but take a look at this. Number 1, 10-meter penalty scored by Chicago House. Number 2, 10-meter penalty by Shoreline, missed. Number 3, Alex Mendez puts it away. Alex Mendez again, number 4, puts it away. Alex Mendez, once again, number 5, puts it away. This is all in the first half, ladies and gentlemen. And then 7-2, and Chicago House on the transition They're able to get one out of Felipe Marroquin here. Good placement there. Not great defense from Shoreline in that case. As that scoreline moves. And then another one. This was number 5, I believe. I can't even remember how many we're at. Yeah, it totaled to be 7. So 7 10-meter penalties in this game. Shoreline score on 4. They win by 4. And Chicago House drops 2 in a row at home. Do you feel like this game was heavily impacted by those 7 10-meter penalties?
Yes. Yeah, but not just the penalties. I mean, it absolutely was. But for me, the biggest thing is the inability of Chicago House to adjust to how the game was getting called.
Yeah,
like that's really what it is. Because you go back and look at what was being called. Now, this is only the second match that we've had with the FCS being in Chicago. And if you notice, the game was called by officials that we hadn't seen in the FCS before, and it was called different. Like it had a different flow to the game than the games that we saw last season.
It was really tight.
And it was really tight.
It was really consistent.
But they were really consistent.
Really consistent.
And that's all you can ask for as a player or as a coach is you just want consistency. So if they're calling it really tight up to the 5th foul, and they keep calling it tight for the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, that's on you as a player to not adjust. Like, you have to adjust. And they had so many times when they're just diving in with their feet or when they're using their hands to pull and push, and they're getting these fouls. So one time, I think it was Matthew Chilinsky gets a foul in the opposing team's penalty area. Like
on Cervantes.
On Cervantes.
Which I do have to say, when I looked at that one,
maybe
I
not.
didn't even see any contact.
I don't disagree with
zero.
you. I don't disagree with you. But the fact that he's giving the official a chance to do that when they already are over the 5 foul count.
Yeah.
Like, that's the part where you just have to understand. And again, they're a young team, and so a lot of the things that we talked about earlier and that we're talking about now are places that they can grow. It's not like causes for concern, like, oh no, like, like, these are places they can and they need to grow. And so it's great that now they can go back and watch the tape and they can see how they didn't adjust. Like, that's one of the best things about these games being televised. Like, yeah, it's great for the fans, so appreciate it, but for the players to go back and watch the tape for them to be able to learn.
Yeah, and I think for Shoreline, I think we saw what we expected out of Alex, Aldoni, and Chris. They played well. You saw the goal between Alex and Chris playing off each other. They have an uncanny ability to find the back of the net. I mean, Alex Mendez scored on 3 of 4 10-meter penalties, and yeah, it's a free shot on goal.
Three of three for him.
He scored. He missed one in the end.
He did.
Yeah, we saw at the very end.
That's
it was
right.
saved.
Yep.
But he scored on 3 of them. And yeah, it's a free shot on goal. But those aren't a walk in the park to make. And he put 3 of them away in a row. I mean, within a short span. And so definitely credit there. But it seemed like it wasn't. Even though it was close in the first half, and then the 10-meter penalties kind of separated the gap, you didn't really get the feeling that Shoreline was really felt concerned. I mean, even some of the goals, if you look in the second half, there was one that Aldoni was defending, and I know that if it's a tight game, Aldoni is all up in this guy, and he was kind of back a little, and so you didn't really get the feeling that Shoreline really felt like they were pressed or tested in this game, and so even though it was only 4 goals, it seemed like they kind of had more of a grasp on it than that.
Yeah, and one of the players, too, that stood out for me for Shoreline, we haven't had a chance to really talk about him much. He had 8 blocks in this game. Matthew Jackson. So, we talk about the Mendezes and their impact, but Matthew Jackson was somebody that it was really a central figure defensively, really preventing attempts from even getting past him on goal.
From the chat, Rudy, Shoreline is a team that plays street ball. They're all feel. I think that's largely true. I mean, we saw that out there, and they actually come from playing, on the street in Grand Rapids for Guatemala.
Yep. And Matthew Jackson played for the Guatemalan team as well.
For them.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's accurate even to that extent, right? That's kind of where a lot of them come from. On the Chicago House side, what did you feel like about this game was better than I mean, maybe that's not a good way to say it, but
that's kind of tough.
What do you think is, take the whole weekend for them, right? They had the first 2 games at home. They don't play for another couple weeks. How does this game show anything different from the first? Did it show anything different from the first?
I think there was a higher level of effort. I mean, it's not hard to have higher level of effort from the first game, so it's encouraging at least to see that they played with a higher level of intensity. But the biggest thing for Chicago in this game too was that they were so reliant on individuals to make things happen instead of really playing like a team. And what I think was the most appealing aspect of watching them over the summer was how well they played as a team. And so to not see that, and to talk about Shoreline playing as a street ball team, to see Chicago really playing as just a collection of individuals, that in and of itself was disappointing. So the talent was still there, and you see these moments. So they had a couple of moments where they did play well as a team, but that's few and far between. And they have to string a lot more of those together, and they have to be a lot more consistent with that as well.
So Chicago dropped 2. They don't play for a couple of weeks now. I believe the next game is, I want to say it's Lansing City at home, but I could be wrong. You looking it up right now?
Yeah, looking it up.
What is their next game?
Their next game is Lansing City at home.
At home. So they have a couple of weeks, and
yeah.
then they're going to welcome Lansing City. Lansing City will have played Olay by then. I don't know if they play the following week or not, but Lansing City will be coming off of that. So, another challenge coming at Chicago House, and we'll see what the next couple of weeks do, and we'll see what they show in that game. We talked about what they showed in the summer, and that was really the reason why, at least for me, why I was so shocked to see because of what the results were in the summer. But one thing we have to remember is a lot of the games in the summer were shorter games, and those really are just very different games. Now, the game semifinal National Showcase against Shoreline, not a shortened game, right? Final against Olay, not a shortened game, but they did get beat pretty good in that final. The semifinal, of course, they ended up beating Shoreline. So, something to consider. But they have some work ahead of them, to say the least, and they'll have a couple of weeks to get prepared. As far as Shoreline goes, they got a game this weekend. They're going on the road again. A long journey for them this weekend, going all the way to Akron. We're going to talk about all the games that are coming up this weekend on the other side of the ad break, so don't go anywhere. Long one again, coming to the back. Gets placed across the front of the goal, and Mena is there. How about the other way? Detroit Imperial strike first.
Wow, and just the attack is relentless for Detroit Imperial. What a fantastic save from Emerson Mena. And one of the things we talk about that he does so well is he maintains possession on shots, and he did right there, able to distribute to Yaya Meska to put it away with the quick transition play.
Yaya Meska gets on the stat sheet in a meaningful way.
Committing a crime so you can try to escape from prison. Bad idea. Go into the pod escape room to play an escape game with your friends. Great idea. Test your skill as an astronaut in outer space. Find Santa in Save Christmas. Or take a vacation to an abandoned island. Just don't get stuck there. The Pod Escape Room. Learn more at thepodlansing.com.
Castillo having to come out to make a play. Play's not over now. Action's still going. What did we just see? Yes! Fikret Hasevic! Why not, son? Goal, Midwest United!
If that's not the goal of the week, I have no clue what is. What a beautiful little touch. Look at this. A little roll up, not even looking at the net, and giving
Like, if I'm a fan of Midwest and I watch that game, and we have what I would be, in my opinion, one of the best keepers in the league. And he's not playing the second half.
And to Marco, what we saw, he gave up 6 goals. Lucario was in there for 20 minutes. First half, didn't give up any. And so, that's a huge disparity.
You're watching the Futsal Champions Series on FCS Live.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the third half podcast. We are 2/3 of the way done with the show, you could say. We recapped all of the last weekend games, and now we look to what is to come this weekend. If you're with us in the chat, what do you think is going to be the story this weekend? We have Jenga hosting Detroit, Innovation hosting Shoreline, and then FCS Women start their season, first ever match for FCS Women's, and that's Lansing City and Olay, and then followed by the men's, Lansing City and Olay, both at the Lansing City Arena. What do you think is going to happen? We already have some hot takes in the chat. Lansing being Olay's first game is a trap game. That's a couple of people are thinking maybe this is going to be interesting. What do you think is going to happen this weekend? I know that we will tell you what we think is going to happen this weekend. Maybe we'll be right. Maybe we won't. But it's that time. Let's get after it. First one is Jenga hosting Detroit. Jenga go back home after the 2-8 loss at Lansing. Detroit are coming off of a 10-4 win. Detroit's 1-0. Jenga's 1-1. Jenga has not lost at home except one time in the FCS. And that was last year against Olay on a small court. Olay got it done. Are Jenga gonna keep that hot streak alive at home?
No.
No!
No, sorry, Jenga.
Pierce agrees with you.
Yeah, there were some things that we didn't see out of Imperial that I would have liked to have seen, and their continued growth and just really like more structure offensively. They were just, it was almost like a frantic pace in that game. They never really demonstrated their control of the game. And you could attribute part of that being to integrating new players like Yaya Meska and Edward Murillo, which are really talented pieces that they're adding, but it's just not like they're not gelled yet. And so I think that we'll start to see that as the season progresses. We'll see them. But they have a lot of talent. And the fact that they're bringing that talent now on the road, which is something that we didn't see a lot of last season, now bringing that talent, I anticipate it being another comfortable victory for Detroit Imperial.
What do you think when it comes to the gelling of Detroit? What do you think? How is Omar Labicki coming back going to impact that?
That's debatable because he really didn't get to play with them at all last season. So in a lot of ways, he's like another new piece that they're adding. But he's somebody that has played with them for years. So it will be really interesting to see how they play together and if there's any difference. Because I do think that was the other component of this. And you'll see it a lot of times that you almost play down to your competition. And so I think that we will see a much cleaner game between Jenga and Detroit Imperial than we saw last week or the week before. Because if you compare how Jenga played against Innovation City to how they played against Lansing City, there was a lot more control possession, really both ways. So it wasn't just because of Lansing and them dominating possession. It was really just more control both ways. And so I would anticipate seeing a slower paced game between Detroit Imperial and Jenga than what we saw from Detroit Imperial and Innovation.
What I think for this game, I think Jenga at home, they perform really well at home. They're going to have their maximum strength. Corey Weisenhunt's probably going to be in goal. I think he's going to do well for them. Emerson Mena wins that battle, though. I mean, the goalkeeping advantage definitely goes to Detroit Imperial. I think Emerson Mena is going to be the reason why they win this game. I think it's going to be close. I don't know if it's going to be great futsal. I think it's going to be exciting because it's close. And I think Jenga's going to play physical. Detroit's probably going to match. If they can stay out of, heated, emotional outbursts, then I think that's going to go well for them. But I do think that, to me, when it comes to Detroit Imperial, the biggest thing that would tip the scales to them in any game is Emerson Mena. And I think he'll do that for them this time.
You bring up a really good point about that composure piece. So last season, there were a lot of moments of loss of composure from Detroit Imperial. And so when you go back and take a look at that Innovation City game, really great composure, even when calls were going against their way. So there were some moments where they were voicing frustration with the officials, but they didn't let it negatively impact the flow of the game.
Luke Miller in the chat wants to see Coach Pierce Brannigan with the tuxedo. He had one. I think it was just one game.
Yeah, he was going to a wedding or just coming from a wedding.
Yeah, he wishes he owned one. Well, maybe that'll be Pierce tuxedo will guarantee a W. Who knows? Maybe we'll see Tuxedo Pierce at some point again in the season. That is Friday, 8 p.m. So tomorrow, FCS action begins for the weekend. Tomorrow in Cincinnati, you can catch it right here. First game of the day on Saturday, or I should say at the same time, because there's two games going to be going out at 5 p.m. So it's going to be, for us production people, this is the test of can we do two simultaneous streams
at the same time.
I think we're going to be good. So Innovation hosting Shoreline. They're 0-2. They're trying to keep from going 0-3. Shoreline City off of that first tie at home. They'll win at Chicago, so they're looking to keep things going. What do you think about this one?
We haven't seen the roster yet for Shoreline City, and I think that's going to be a big, really determining factor of how this game plays out. And if they travel the same way they did to Chicago, which I would anticipate they will, I think it's going to be another comfortable victory for them.
So comfortable 4, 5, 3, 6,
7.
6, 7. Wow. Yeah. 6, 7, he says. I think that is probably the most likely scenario. I think it's definitely in the favor of Shoreline City to win this game based on what we've seen. Innovation, I think they could steal some games, I think. Like they could maybe steal this game, especially at home. I don't know about on the road because we didn't see Tufani on the road. I think Innovation has, it's possible that they could. And I saw this kind of early in the chat. I think it was Juan who said, if you go in unprepared, any team can win. And I'm not saying that Shoreline's going to go unprepared, but what I am saying is that I think Innovation is a team that, even though right now they're 0-2, I think that when you go to play them at their place, as of right now, I think you still have to be sharp because I think they could get, just based on some of the chances they had, that Emerson Mena took care of last week.
Yeah.
Brennan Foster in goal. Yeah. He wasn't incredible, but it shows signs of being a good keeper. He's got raw skill. Luan Tufani. Diego Pinto is finishing the ball like a madman right now. So that's just they could steal a game or two at home. And so Shoreline's the next one up. So I just think if you're Shoreline, you just got to be, we're not going to take anything for granted. And we're going to go and, we're going to make sure that we are in control of this game from start to finish. Because if not, I think Innovation could.
They could. I mean, they absolutely could. Look, if the Mendez triumvirate is going to Akron, they will win comfortably.
If what?
If Mendez. If
all
three of the
Gotcha.
Mendezes go. If all three of them go, they will win comfortably.
So that is this Saturday at 5 p.m. At the very same time, 5 p.m. Eastern, I should say, now that we span multiple time zones. 5 p.m. Eastern. There you go, Luke. Now I'm saying Eastern so that although you're probably already used to it by now. FCS Women's opens up play with Lansing City hosting Ole at 5 p.m. on Saturday. What are you thinking? Where's your head at for this one?
I mean, the first thing for me is to get to see Ole's women play is going to be exciting because I know they have an incredible amount of talent. So much so that some of the women even practice against the men's team and are competitive in practice. And we know how good the men are. So it's going to be really great to see. And it'll be really cool to see who Lansing City rolls out. So I did get to see the tryout for the Lansing City women's team. And talking about Emerson Mena, one of his close friends plays for Lansing City. She's from Venezuela as well. And wow, she was phenomenal on the ball. Like the immediate person that I thought of when I saw her touch the ball was Jair Real. Like that was the first thought I had when I saw her on the ball. Just incredible ball skills. And, I'm anticipating seeing a lot of her on the ball and seeing how that turns out. And then against Ole, it will be a fun match.
Here's the deal for this one for me. Lansing City women's team, you saw some, the tryouts we hear about and have seen this talented player from Venezuela. Other than that, really no zero.
No, yeah.
So it's like, don't really know. And for Ole, they have a history of women's teams, playing, and they even had a player that I think went to play for U.S. National women's. And so they've kind of been doing this. Lansing City has had in the past women's academy, and in fact, I think they probably have women's, ladies futures teams. But this is largely brand new territory for Lansing City. So because of that, it feels like a game that is going to be one-sided the whole way.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm anticipating as well.
But we could be surprised. It's at home in Lansing City. It's at the arena.
First match ever for them.
Lansing City probably are going to have people who are, college soccer players in the off-season. I mean, Michigan State University is around the corner. University of Michigan even maybe, I don't know exactly, but I'm just guessing that this may be the kind of play. So I'm guessing that it will be less good futsal than what we're used to seeing from Lansing City because of that. But it's hard to not give the nod to Ole in this case just because of the experience that they have and not think that this will probably be a one-sided game, but I hope I'm wrong, and I'm hoping it's exciting.
And either way, I think it will be exciting just to see them in action because this is really the first time we're getting to see the women play in the FCS. So, to be a part of a first, is great.
That'll be really cool. So that is at 5 p.m. on Saturday. So, yes, you are going to have two screens up and one eye on one and one eye on the other in order to catch all the FCS action. Right after this one, it's a doubleheader for Lansing City and Ole. Ole come to town, open up their 2026 campaign in the Lansing City Arena. The last time these two teams met in the arena was in the National Showcase. Lansing City's roster was very depleted in that game. I don't think they had Jack or Drew or Luciano, and maybe more. I know that it was very one-sided in the summer before that in Grand Rapids, that special friendly game. That one was down to the wire, super exciting. The one before that was the last game in the season, super exciting, down to the wire. I'm expecting this game to be another really, really thrilling game.
I think it's going to be an incredible game, but I don't think it's going to be as close as those other matches were.
No.
I don't.
What do you think is going to be how close will it be?
I just think there's like a hunger out of Olay to dominate this season, because there's been so much chatter about all these other teams, all the new teams to the league, about Shoreline, even in Grand Rapids. They have I'm trying to think, Daniel De Leon's the only player from the Street Soccer League that won. So the fact that a lot of those players Olay lost in the Street Soccer League, so they've lost kind of bragging rights locally. I think that there's a lot of just built up excitement and pent up really aggression to just really dominate the league in a way that we didn't see out of them last season. They won every game.
And they were undefeated.
Right? They were undefeated, but they didn't win every game. Sorry, they were undefeated.
Yep.
But now to come back and win every game and to do it in convincing fashion, I think that's really because Juan Galindo, he talked about it earlier, just about there's a chance if a team comes unprepared to lose, right? I don't think we'll see Olay come unprepared at all.
No, I don't think so, and I think we probably won't see them come unprepared really all season. I believe they're going to be coming out sporting some new jerseys, if I saw correctly on
nice.
the Instagram.
Nice.
We've called them the Grand Rapids Red. I think they're going to have red in their jersey, but I don't think they have a all-red jersey that they're playing on anymore. So maybe they're going to have to do one of those throwbacks and, someday just wear the all-reds. But they're going to be coming out in some new kits, I believe. For Lansing City, they're the new pieces that looked promising in the Jenga game. Alec Nas, Alessandro Blanco, Ali Ahmed, Benny Alashari, Beto Espinal, the new players, and the growth of Jack Fisher, Drew Barney, physically and, just in the game. Addition of Diego Bobadilla. We didn't see him in the last game, but I expect to see him here. I think that promising play from Ethan Castaneda, that is going to face a true test here. I mean, it
will.
You could say it's the ultimate test. Perhaps the ultimate test would be Olay away, maybe. But, obviously you're playing the best team in the league that has shown that. So it's kind of like what is the state of these promising pieces for Lansing City and maturity? What is the state of that? And you'll get to measure that. And I think it's going to be super exciting. I think it's always great when Olay comes into to the arena and play in this environment. So this is certainly a game. If I were to only watch one game a whole weekend,
this is it.
This is it right here.
Yeah.
And I'm coming to the arena to watch it.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, if you're within a 4-hour driving distance, come on in.
And I know that would mean 0 people on our stream, but I don't care. I would be coming to the court for that one. It's a great environment. So we hope that you guys tune into the games this weekend. Where did we get it right? Where did we get it wrong? What do you think? Time will tell. Some of the things that we say on here, maybe it's going to be clipped and highlighted, and we might have to eat some words. I don't know. Or maybe it's going to be like, hey, we got that one right. But that has been tonight's episode of the third half. Excited for FCS action this weekend as we enter into week 3. Gerard Ascani, last word.
Show up.
Show up.
Look, if you're within driving distance of any match this weekend, come out, support your local teams, and if you're not, come out
fly
and support.
Out.
Yeah, fly out.
I'm just kidding. I know you just qualified driving distance as 4 hours.
Yeah, 4 hours. I mean, really, look, when I was in baseball,
long.
driving distance 12, 13, 14 hours. So, look,
that's crazy.
I mean, you could do it. There's nothing stopping you. Just get in the car, make it a road trip, come out and see it. There's nothing like going and seeing futsal in person. Like that's one of the things that's the most attractive about the sport is the intensity and the excitement of the match. Akron has a pretty good atmosphere. They're already creating early down there. Go out to a match. Cincinnati's got a great setup, and then Lansing City's really awesome too.
And if you come to the arena here, right on the other side of this wall is an amazing barbecue place, and it's like a staple. So just so you know. And we smell it every time we walk into this room. Not really, but almost. That's been the show tonight. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys this weekend for the FCS games and for the third half next week. So long and good night.
First one called of the match. Quick giveaway. Alex Mendez now leaves it for Chris. Back to Alex. The touch. It's in. We have trouble for Chicago House. 2 goals early for Shoreline City.
Yeah, if the first goal was not the way you want to start, you definitely don't want to do this. Cannot let the Mendez triumvirate get going. What a cheeky goal right there from Alex Mendez.
You know, in the FCS, we've seen tons of really good goalkeeping, and we've seen some bad. But the point is, when the goalkeeping position suffers, it really impacts
Absolutely.
the play of the team.
Yeah, and look, so Aaron Gomez, he brought this up about Frankie and Andres. If you just go look at last season's stats, Frankie led the league, 86% save percentage, but then Emerson Mena right behind him at 77%, then Jose Vicario, and then Andres Montes, and all of them over 75%, right? That's how many shots that they were saving coming in.